on any given day, how often do you pass your refrigerator? 23 times? Probably the most visited place in one's house. Now, often because people will go to the refrigerator so often, they'll have, let's say, goals that they want to set for themselves. For instance, not to go into the refrigerator as often as one would like, or to have positive messages. And I remember when I was much younger that a friend of mine's mother had on her refrigerator door, "Be patient with me, God is not finished yet." So I've always stuck in my mind because it's been on the refrigerator, and just the importance of having patience in one's life. Our gospel today really indicates that in order to really encounter God, one needs patience. And so in the case here of the weeds and the wheat. Now when we think about weeds, often we have the image of dandelions, for instance. Now the word specifically in the Greek text is zenanian. Now when Jesus refers to not plucking up the weeds yet until the harvest, it's because this zenanian looks awfully like wheat as it comes up. It's only at the harvest time where the differences show up. As we know, when wheat is ripened, it looks brown. Now when the zenanian finally comes to ripen, it actually looks black. And so that's why it's easy to indicate, okay, that's the weed and that's the wheat. And so when Jesus says, collect all of them and then separate the weeds and put them in the fire and burn them, well, it's exactly that. Who needs the weeds? We want the wheat. We want the good stuff. And so Jesus uses this parable of the farmer to say, hey, we need patience, even though we want to get things done right away. And isn't that the case? How often we say to ourselves, I want patience, but just not yet. And so how do we take the lessons of today's gospel in order to really need patience in order to do God's will into our own lives? I think we can do two things. Is one just like referring to that refrigerator magnet when I was much younger, would be patient with me, God's not finished with me. Is that we're all unfinished works. And so therefore we need patience. And I think if we do have patience in our lives, I think we can live much more positive, much more peaceful lives, knowing, okay, God's working with me, and so I don't have to be anxious or angry about how things go. No, this is the Lord's plan, and we'll just let His will be done. I think we can also refer to scriptures, particularly Peter's second letter, chapter 3, in which he makes two references to patience. One is reference when people are saying, well, how come God is not doing His thing right away? And so people presume it's slowness. But no, St. Peter would say it's not God's slowness, it's His opportunity to offer you repentance, to slowly come around. So He's very patient with us, and so too we need to be patient with Him. Also, I think it's 2 Peter 3, verse 12, when he says that we must be at peace because God's patience is for our salvation. So we need patience in order to truly do God's will. And so realizing, hey, we're all unfinished works. We're all like the little seed that's planted in the ground. Hopefully we're the wheat. And as it comes up, yeah, it takes time for that to fully ripen and mature. And the second thing we can also look at is sometimes we presume the weeds in our lives are bad things. And I would maybe make reference to crises or trials or struggles people have in their lives. And what a lot of people do is almost medicate themselves or shun themselves from the struggles of life. And I enjoy reading biographies of very successful people. And I'm sure not only for successful people, but even for many of us here, it's often the trials and tribulations and struggles that teach us much more than our successes. And so maybe when we think about the struggles we have in our lives, and we people that are in our lives, or circumstances or anxieties, and we go, oh, this is a bad weed, I want to get rid of it. Sometimes it may not necessarily be a weed, not until it comes to until it fully ripens, and we really realize, hey, that what looked like a weed is really wheat. And maybe sometimes the things we think are wheat are really the weed. And so sometimes we just need a little patience to do it. And I would say one perfect example is even being here in our parish. Like, why don't we have a church? Like, come on, let's go. And at the same time, have a little bit of reflection and say, boy, this is all an opportunity to really mature and ripen. So maybe for us too, we need patience in terms of building our church. And with that comes charity and being at peace and saying, okay, Lord, this is your church. Okay, you build it according to your plan. We'll just continue to grow slowly and ripen And we'll be ready for that moment when everything comes together very nicely. So we all want patience, just not right now. We want things right away. And I think one thing that we can do for patience is to ask God for it. As we heard in our second reading today from Paul's letter to the Romans, he says the Spirit intercedes for the saints. He almost groans within us because it is God's presence within us. And so what allows the Holy Spirit to come in one's life, then out of it come what's called the fruits of the Holy Spirit. We refer to Galatians 5:22-23. St. Paul referred to 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit. So love, peace, patience, kindness, patience number 4, self-control, generosity, faithfulness, and a couple others. So we have to ask the Lord to give us the spirit of His Spirit so we can truly become patient and then do the Lord's will. Now we're the luckiest people on the face of the earth because the Lord gives us His Word and His body and blood to encourage us to say, okay, Lord, I trust in you. I'll be patient with you just as you are patient with me. And in turn, let's show that same patience to the many people in our world that we will encounter this week. We'll also need to encounter Lord's patience. And so as we may pass by our refrigerators today or the next week or next little while, let's always remember, hey, to be patient with me. God is not finished yet. And so we need patience to do the Lord's will, and therefore let's be patient with all those we'll meet this week.